Let's get into the advisory now. And the new financial year brings a new focus to superannuation, with the employer guarantee contribution increasing to 12%. To discuss, John Vanderpoel from Morgans joins me. John, good to see you. This is something Paul Keating wanted to see in 2000. In the year 2025-26, we finally got there.
Yeah, it's finally happened. Good morning, Juliet. I hope you're well, and happy new financial year to all viewers. Yes, we finally got there, 12%. It has taken the best part of 25 years, but we finally got there. And yeah, it's a lot of people, if your earnings are $250,000 a year, if you're fortunate enough to be earning that sort of money, well, you're automatically going to be maxing out that concessional cap. But it's a great system, our superannuation system, and I'm very supportive of it.
And I guess, what does it mean more broadly in terms of how invested, how active we should be in looking at our super, as it is the 12% increase now, and we're still looking at potentially people with high balances being hit by this Division 296 tax?
Yeah, absolutely. It's look, the Div 296 effectively was to start as at the 1st of July 2025, so 2 days ago. And we don't have the legislation yet, so it's a tricky one for clients, financial advisors, accountants, auditors, the whole lot of us as an industry. Just as an exercise, I went back and had a look at Division 293, which was introduced back in 2013, and initially that started at a $300,000 cap, you may recall. In 2017, it was reduced to $250,000 and captured straight away an additional 44,000 people. Now, this one has never been indexed. So we took, Jim Chalmers keeps referring back to modest changes, only 80,000 people to be caught by the Div 296. Div 293 never indexed. And I understand that about 300 to 400,000 Australian taxpayers are being impacted by this on a year-to-year basis. And it's just important and relevant when we're looking at Div 296 and the fact that only 80,000 people are to get caught initially. But again, no indexation. So, as we discussed last time we were on the call, a lot of Australians will be impacted by this over time without indexation.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, going back to the super guarantee contribution increasing to 12%, just talk us through a little bit more about what the contribution caps for the next financial year are and how people can really try to maximise their balances here.
Yeah, sure. So no changes to the contribution caps for the current financial year. They do get indexed every couple of years, but just broad strokes, the concessional cap currently sits at $30,000 for the current financial year. Now that includes employer contributions, any salary sacrificing and deductible contributions that people may choose to make. The non-concessional cap, again, unchanged at $120,000. And just for you, for viewers, you can look to roll up 3 years of contributions, or bring forward is the term, and contribute after-tax money of up to $360,000. The other really important one that I've certainly got a lot of traction with my clients over the years has been the downsizes, which was a real positive there. So that applies to people who are selling their principal place of residence that is they've owned for 10 years, they're over the age of 55, and they can contribute as a couple $600,000, so $300,000 each. You only get one bite at the cherry with that, but that's been very useful for people looking to top up their superannuation savings. And there's also the small business exemptions, which are unchanged, and that's probably a conversation for another day. There's quite a bit that we could cover there.
Well, we do have a bit of time, John, and I did want to talk to you about that, because it's coming in next financial year, isn't it, that small businesses have to pay their super at the same time as wages, which could actually put a lot of pressure on some companies.
Yeah, 100%. That's I don't know who'd want to be a small business owner. They just seem to get stung every way in trying to, look after themselves for retirement. I mean, the reason we have the small business exemptions is to actually benefit these people, because their businesses are their long-term savings vehicle. Again, a lot of those exemptions haven't changed with indexation. They have the obligations to their employers, higher contributions that they have to make of up to 12%. And a lot of small businesses out there simply struggling to even make ends meet at the moment. As I said, I really do feel for them. It's a pretty tough space.
And potentially with that in mind, then it may have been very difficult for companies to get to the 12% guarantee at the time that Paul Keating wanted, which was 25 years ago. He did mention that, though, delays from the previous coalition governments means that a retiree could have lost as much as $300,000. Do you agree with those kinds of figures?
Yeah, that's the numbers that we've seen. Interestingly, I saw Wayne Swan has come out and he doesn't think there should be any further increases in the super guarantee contribution for now. We should maybe just park it up at 12%. So, and maybe that's a bit of just a reality check saying it is pretty tough out there, even for larger organisations. They're struggling with, all the other obligations with salary increases that are being pushed through, productivity issues, which is another conversation altogether. But look, it's still a pretty good system. I'm a big supporter of it. And, having lived overseas for a period of time, having this mandated system does benefit Australians, but I think there's some benefit more than others.
And do you think, in your own opinion, that it could increase from 12%? I mean, I know that's looking at a crystal ball that you may not have.
Well, the plan has always been to push it higher, but it's a struggle to see how you could push it through in the current environment. The growth is anemic out there at best. So it would be, a big push to say to all employers, well, we need to keep pushing this higher. Eventually, it'll become a decision of, well, we're going to have to let people go so we can pay for these things. So then you've got the issue of unemployment and what may happen there. And I'd rather the market be, that we have the employment levels that we do at the moment, and maybe we have to forego a little bit of superannuation. But I'd also say, Juliet, we, as Australians, we can do a bit more ourselves to maybe help ourselves out a little bit as well. Be it salary sacrificing to super, the things like the government co-contribution, which is for low paid workers or, people who are maybe taking career breaks. If your earnings are below $62,000 for the current financial year, you can put in $1,000 into super and immediately get a 50% uplift risk-free. They're little tricks that, a lot of people miss. And it's one that I certainly say to young clients, get involved with your super from day one. I think that's part of the education process to try and encourage people from younger ages to look at their super, because it is critical and it is important. And not leave it to your 60 years of age and suddenly realise you don't have enough.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really about being engaged early on. And with that in mind, given that we are, the 3rd of July, John, is your advice that people have a look now and don't leave it till, June 20 next year?
Yeah, absolutely. I had the mad rush up to 30 June, clients contacting me the 29th of June, even though I'd let them know back in May. The time's up, wanting to put in deductible contributions at the very last minute. Typical mad rush, but yeah, just part of what I'm always talking to clients about is just get engaged, get interested in your super. It's a fantastic opportunity to accumulate wealth over a long period of time. Yes, the government will always tinker with it, annoyingly, because $4 trillion is a lot of money and they can't keep their hands off it. But it is still a fantastic way to save. It's tax efficient. I think it'll always be tax efficient in one way or another. It will evolve. But certainly, looking at myself personally, it's a big part of my future planning for myself.
Absolutely. And I don't want to bash on young people, but you did mention before that you do think younger Australians need to be more, invested in looking at their super. I read a sort of a damning piece recently saying that younger people are not sort of seeing superannuation as something that they want to be putting extra money in. They'd rather either live their lives or put it in alternative assets like crypto. What's your sort of view on that?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. A lot of my older clients have referred their children to me, so I do have those conversations. The main thing for younger people is it's so far off. If you're 20 years of age, you've just finished your uni degree and you're just starting work, 65 is a long time away. And what it's just trying to do is create healthy habits. And that's the conversation that I'll have with younger clients. Go, look, you're correct. It's 45 years away, 40 years away. But let's just make a start on it. So you've got your employer contributions, chip in $50 a month, just a salary sacrifice, gives you a little tax break. And the miracle of compounding, Albert Einstein said it's the eighth wonder of the world, and it's 100% correct. Just try and get them involved. As I said, the government co-contribution, that's an easy way to get an extra $500 for free every year if you can meet the parameters for that. It's just education, and that's part of my job and the industry's role, to educate young people and say, look, don't give up hope here. You're going to need it, because I don't know if age pensions will exist as they do today in 40 years' time.